Mr. Shri Krishnarao Jaisim is an architect and the former chairman of the Indian Institute of Architects, Karnataka chapter. His work has been featured in the New York Times, The Hindu, The Times of India, The Deccan Herald, and on HGTV. Shri Jaisim attended Madras Christian College School of 1960 batch. He completed his university education in architecture in 1966 from Madras University from 1966 to 1970. He worked with the architectural firm of LM Chitale Son. Son, you're actually... okay, and Madras. In 1970, inspired by Ayn Rand's novel, The Fountainhead, he started an architect practice under the name of Jaisim-Fountainhead. The practice grew from 1970 to 1975. Ladies and gentlemen, without any introduction, I'm sure all of you in the industry is well aware of Shri Krishnarao Jaisim. A heartiest welcome to you, sir. Probably out of 2,000 plus events I have done, this was the first time I felt like, I got nervous. But it was nice. Thank you so much. I'm indeed very, very glad to meet you this evening. Over to you, sir.
Namaskars. Is it okay? I must have done thousands of talks, but every talk is a nervous talk. NAID, Mr. Anand, and three phenomenal speakers on the panel discussion before me. I thought I'll escape the evening. Right from February onwards, I've hardly traveled like I used to. He said, when he invited and said, do you want a presentation? I said, I'm coming for an award ceremony, meeting 3 or 4 top architects and a lot of youngsters. They are the presentation. One of the most fascinating things when I heard people talk about the last COVID thing, I don't know, to me, it has been the most positive thing that has ever happened in my life. For the first time, I'm under no pressure. I can tell a client, sorry, I can't do your work. I can tell my contractor, go take leave. I'm so happy when my carpenter or my laborer walks in and says, let us have a drink. I said, there are no bars. Let's go somewhere. I find the last 9 months to me has been the most fascinating period of my 50 to 60 years of architectural practice. I also want to tell when there was an award ceremony. Every award ceremony is a fascinating place because it depends on what it is, what the jury is, who it is, and what the contest and content is. We had 3 phenomenal talks before. I'm just going to look at some of the things. I would have loved to see the works that these youngsters, young architects had put. I hope there will be glimpses of that when it's presented, but there's a huge number. It's fantastic to see this. The other aspect that I would like to touch, many people during this period, when I say this COVID period has been phenomenal, I keep repeating to me again, I live in a cottage all alone, literally. Not too far away, but thanks for bringing me all the way down from there. Loneliness hits human beings. I thought I designed a great place to stay by myself. Then I realized in that place of Suvidha, if you don't communicate, if you don't interact, something happens. Then something else happened in the practice. I found a lot of young architects, knowing that I would be there and I won't go very much, started coming over and started discussing and talking. Like people were asking, So you've been practicing, how big is your office? I said, what did you ask? He said, big office. I said, how can an office be big or small? An architectural practice is an architectural practice. In fact, I said it is a practice because we never perfect anything. It's always practice. The other aspect I told him was when I was again talked to another place. I said, how many people do you have? I said, at the moment, in my office, there is none. He said, why? Because I'm here. That's all it requires, just one human individual to be an architect. The rest of them are just a parade that goes with you. Doesn't need at all. The other aspect of architecture, it is the most individualistic profession in the world. I'm a member of the lighting industry. I'm a member of the plumbing industry. I'm a member of the structural engineers welding. Even now, just now, the lighting people said, why don't you come to our conference and talk? I said, no, I'm going to an architect's meet today. So they looked at me surprising. I said, no, this is where I come and point to all the architects. We are the only profession who know nothing but master everything. To be very honest, you look at it. We have to understand every discipline, right from the foundation to the roof, to the air conditioning, to the lighting, and to every person, including the person who serves and this poor lady who talked. But we have to understand everybody, but we don't have to be anybody. This is what I've been after the education of architecture. You can't educate an architect. An architect becomes. He's not born like an artist. He's not taught like an engineer. He's not learned anything. He somehow goes through a process. I still remember my 50 years or over, nearly 60, practice work. What did I learn? When I met Mies or when I met the great Buckminster Fuller, I didn't know I had met great people. When I saw the tetra, he showed it to me in his own pad. I didn't know I was sitting with him. It all happens when you're youngsters. This is why I tell young architects, you don't know whom you're meeting, when you're meeting. Keep your mind and eyes open 24/7. You will find those are the spaces and places where I really learned. I'd be sitting on a flight, sitting with somebody, something will happen. Somewhere you land. You look at some of the airports, some of the airports or the little thing. It really takes you on. You're the only profession which is involved in the profession 24/7. Even when you sleep in bed, your wife will turn you, why are you snoring? Which means my bed has to be redesigned properly. Something happens. There is another aspect which I usually like to understand with understanding the levels of the professions that we get involved in and the student we involved in. Yes, it's a very heavy responsibility we take. Remember, even now, when the council called me and I had a little chat on something else, and then the Supreme Court Justice could not understand why he was deciding the way on architecture that they should come under this or come under that. I don't know why I got talking to a retired Chief Justice. Then he said, what do you come under? I said, so when you want to build a home, come to me. If you want. Or you go find. That's when I come in. He's crushed. He said, Jaisim, tomorrow morning you come home. It changes. That's when it happens. I always believe the client walks to you. He comes to you. Because after that, the relationship becomes different. Something else happens. We are not working +2 + 2 is 4, or I walk the steps down, I walk the steps up. Now I want youngsters to look, when I was giving the other talk, I'm supposed to talk on Japanese architecture. Just because I went to Japan, they think I should talk on Japan. The most simplest architecture in the world happens. But today we have integrating phenomenal things, which we call the globalization. Imagine what COVID has done. It has brought the whole globe together. Unbelievably. In what way? How? I don't know, but it has. Which is a very surprising factor. Maybe the pharmaceutical industry is making money or the politicians make, that is different. The fact is, there is something that is integrated. That's why I said this has become the biggest opportunity for me to sit back at home and look at every project and everything going back into my life and going back to the youngsters and say, what are we doing? The other aspect that I would like to touch, when I was very happy when the new secretary and the urban minister said, I said, sir, 20 years back we were talking about this. Forget about top cities. Forget about second-level cities. Let us go to the third and fourth level villages and rural areas. That is where architects should go. That is where the great Indian architecture, the subcontinent architecture, the architecture of the world lives in these spaces. You start talking to them. Initially they'll say, we want a house like in the city. Then you tell them, you are not the city. You have a discussion. You have a big dialogue. You go and eat with them. Then you find their food is 100 times better than what you eat in any restaurant or the dinner we might have tonight. But that is different. I know this Western from the day the land was sold because of a friend of mine to Spencer's, and then Spencer sold it to Taj. When they came to my office, said, will you sign? You might find my signatures and these. I said, I don't want the project because my friend wants to live in that. So when you said West End, I said, I'm coming just for memory's sake. I want to come back to this place and walk around. Architecture lives life all the time. Awards come, awards go, recognitions come, recognitions go. You are your own awardee. Get that going. The only thing with the schools of architecture is to give you a certain discipline to be non-disciplined, to be undisciplined, to be disciplined. It's a very complex profession. I'm very happy you got a big gathering. I don't know how many more you put it across. Great opportunity for inviting me, because if I keep talking, she knows I'll talk the whole day. I've had classes the whole day. The student, she's already looking at me. But you're all free to interact. What little I've learned, what little I can express. The only thing I always tell them is there is no such thing as native architecture or global. We are finally evolved into a space where we can interpret nature, we can interpret what he was talking about, technology, fuse them with the art without anything dominating. And if you can get the fusion and take it higher and higher levels to the moon or to the rockets or wherever it is, or under the earth or below the ocean, the future of architecture is phenomenal. There is no shortage of work. It's only a question how you want to work. I can work on a window detail for 1 year, or I can finish my whole university in 1 hour. It is so complex. This is where I thank for the invitation. I hope you stay back. Anything else that I can add value to, I'll be the most delighted person to share a little value to you after this 50 years. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I should request all of you to please give a standing ovation to the legend of architecture.